Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to start with a few announcements. The first one is, and I'm not sure if this is going to be good or bad news for you, but I won't be using any slides. Now, in general, when thank you, that's a good start. In general, when speaking to agencies or media owners, I'm getting used to the 80 plus, 100 plus slides. So stay with me. I hope still it's going to be interesting. The second message to start with is that I know, and you advertising people even know this better than me, that there is only a limited time of attention that people can listen when particularly after lunch. So there are going to be 2 commercial breaks during my talk, just to everybody just be remaining with us and just to have a little bit of breath of not having to listen to all the time of me. The other message is thank you very much to Liz. It's great you're sponsoring this, and it's very nice to hear what you see as similarities. And I will talk a little bit about trust ourselves, and thank you for picking that up. Also, thank you very much to the International Advertising Association for having invited me. Last message to start with, yes, Hitachi is a B2B brand, and I hope you'll get away a bit of excitement about what B2B is, because I think in these days it's actually a very, very good place to be in. So what I hope to do in the next 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, is to give you some insights into the strategic importance of using advertising in general, corporate comms, to build and strengthen the public engagement for Hitachi. Some people may still and will still associate Hitachi with TVs, video recorders. Well, in fact, we've been moving out of that business into the much higher value social infrastructure development, building on our company's core strengths, which are engineering and IT. And the 2 areas of UK investment on which I will speak today are, first of all, our low carbon energy, and secondly, our rail business, which are prime examples of this. And we have made large-scale commitments to both the rail industry and the energy sector in the UK by concluding and successfully financing the Intercity Express programme with the Department for Transport, and by making a £700 million investment in the acquisition of Horizon Nuclear Power. These are 2 very long-term investments in the development of the UK's infrastructure, bringing new technologies to the UK, and which will create employment for UK workforce and the supply chain for decades to come. Rather obvious question now, so why is public engagement and ultimately public support important for Hitachi? Or in other words, why do we use advertising or more broader corporate communication? Well, for me, there are a number of reasons. 1, visibility and engagement are essential for the public and political support for these huge infrastructure projects. 2, it will determine the number and caliber of people we're able to attract. And it would even be better if there would be more women around that. 3, given the ultimate need for private sector finance, the starting point for investment is a stable visibility. Now, this will not come as a surprise to you, but the renewal of the major national infrastructure is a huge challenge for the UK. In power generation, airports, railways, and other areas, the UK has bottlenecks in capacity, and old assets will have to be replaced. Doing nothing is not an option anymore, but the investment required is huge. And private financing, private funding is essential. Planning and implementation extends well beyond the lifetime of a single parliament. So politics and industry have to come together to provide incentive for investment, efficient and reliable infrastructure, continuity, skills, and jobs. And as Hitachi, we're trying to be part of the solution. Our first success in the UK railway sector came with the introduction in 27 of the so-called Class 395 Javelin trains that provide services from London to Kent and provided a flawless shuttle service during the 2012 London Olympics. You will all still remember how people were talking about how the Olympics were going to be a debacle of everybody having to move. Well, after all, many more people came on the railway infrastructure, and we have now the first commercial break with a little video. Frederick, it's your time now, telling the story of the trains.
The first train was delivered from Japan to Southampton on the 23rd of August 2007. It was present at the official opening of High Speed 1 at St Pancras Station on the 6th of November 2007.
They are escorting the brand new Hitachi Class 395 bullet train.
It gives me great pleasure to officially launch High Speed 1, Britain's first high-speed railway, and to reopen this magnificent station, St Pancras International.
A regular service commenced on the 30th of December 2009, carrying thousands of passengers daily to London, reaching St Pancras Station in just 37 minutes from Ashford International Station. And it's this success story which will help Hitachi introduce a new generation of rail travel to Europe.
So why this commercial break? Because actually it is a story that has been extremely successful for us, because it's amazing that a train is such a strong image builder. Now, since then, under the so-called Intercity Express program, for which we have been appointed the supplier, we will build and maintain a fleet of more than 100 high-speed, reliable and environmentally friendly trains to replace the current aging rolling stock coming out of London Paddington and London Euston. And for those people sometimes taking the train out of London Paddington, you will have seen, or you will be able to see, that the former Eurostar depot has now been completely rebuilt and is now very clearly branded Hitachi Inspire the Next. This is the place where we will be maintaining these quite amazing trains. We'll also build a brand new factory in Newton Aycliffe, County Durham in the northeast, bringing much needed jobs. Construction is well underway, the roof is now on top, and with more than 200 jobs being created during the build phase and employment for a further 730 workers long term. In November 2012, Hitachi acquired Horizon Nuclear Power. The first page of the Financial Times is still very proudly in our offices because it represented the start of a 100-year commitment to developing new nuclear power stations in the UK and Europe. And we were encouraged to make this investment by the degree of cross-party support for nuclear power, as well as the UK's tradition of mature and reliable governments. The full project at Horizon's two sites requires Hitachi to deliver a total investment in excess of not less than £20 billion. Each site will create a peak of around 6,000 construction jobs and 1,000 permanent roles. And our aim, we'll come to the advertising and communication a bit, will be to involve and to engage with the whole community in the success of these important projects. So what is it that Hitachi wants to bring to this partnership? First of all, as a company, there's a need for resources and commitment to put behind these very long-term projects. Our focus from now on for us through development, construction and operation of rail services and a new generation of power stations will be on delivery. If we set realistic expectations, remain steadfast in our approach, and do what we say and what we are going to do, we can sustain the vital trust and support that we are undoubtedly going to need. And we have put in place a program of engagement, public affairs, corporate communication, public engagement, and some advertising as well, to make sure that in the years and decades to come, we will continue to have an open and trusting relationship with our stakeholders in general. So let me now give you some more detail of what we are doing in this program. I will cover 4 points. First one will be about our messages. I will then go into some detail about the importance of a global approach and the need to make our messages relevant and explicit to our local audiences. And I will conclude with some general thoughts about our approach. So 1, clarity of message. An effective communication is vital for our success in the UK and other parts of Europe. So in May 2013, we launched a multifaceted global advertising campaign called Social Innovation, It's Our Future, highlighting Hitachi's belief in leaving a better world for generations to come. Each execution uses children asking seemingly naive but ultimately powerful questions, which we hope will inspire key decision makers to address the issues and challenges prevalent in developed and emerging countries around the globe.
More and more people are moving to cities, even more than we ever imagined just a few years ago. In fact, by 2030, it's said that nearly 60% of us will call cities home. And if we're going to meet the needs of our kids today and their kids tomorrow, there's no single answer. We're going to have to rethink so many things that touch people's lives. From water supplies to food supplies, energy flow to traffic flow, healthcare to education, and to do it in a way that keeps the parks green and the air clean.
So, how do we get there?
For us at Hitachi, the answer is a different approach to social innovation that starts with listening to cities, the people who run them, the people who live there. And by understanding their needs, we're able to use our advanced solutions along with our information technologies to help create a social infrastructure for generations to come. Hitachi Social Innovation.
It's our future.
Hitachi, inspire the next.
Why are cities such a central element in our communication? For the first time in history, and maybe we can switch off the, because we don't need it anymore. For the first time in history, 50% of the world population lives in urban areas. This will increase to around 60%, as you could have seen in 2020, accounting for 4.3 billion people living in cities. This mass migration to urban areas is transforming cities into enormous economic hubs. For Hitachi, eventually cities rather than countries will be targeted as hubs of investment, with each city becoming a unique customer with untapped opportunities in key industries such as mobility. Partnerships between city governments, solution providers, so businesses like us, and academia will become the working model for most future city projects. And convergence between industries, players, technology and products is inevitable as the world itself converges into urban clusters. So when the time for a Q&A comes, I would be very interested to hear and to discuss with you what the advertising's contribution or views on this integration between different industries and sectors could look like. 2, building a global brand. Yes, I'm sorry, indeed, the internal discussion of global versus local. This is particularly relevant for a global brand like ours with strong roots in Japan and an increasing presence across global markets. Now, I've done some research, and a recent survey with 20,000 plus global brand and marketing professionals, people like you, who work on more than 200 brands across all industries, indicate that getting the proper local versus global balance is a top challenge. Now it becomes really interesting because almost 65% of the respondents confirm that global brands have become more important over the last 5 years. But interestingly enough, only 15% of you fully agree that global brands are effectively leveraging their scale. Even fewer believe that their organizations excel at quickly rolling out successful global brand initiatives. Isn't it interesting? Less than 15%. From our perspective as a provider of infrastructure or social innovation, in which we are competing against global brands like GE, Siemens, or IBM, we believe that our corporate marketing will be more effective if our customers in the market immediately recognize the company and the people they are working with. Let me repeat that, the people they are working with as being part of the same brand. Hitachi's global growth will accelerate if we speak one single brand language and build on the successes of the different regional parts of Hitachi. We've been making some very encouraging progress in building centers of expertise in the regional headquarters of Hitachi, producing and delivering projects and initiatives that are used by our colleagues elsewhere in the group, independently of the market, localization, product or service. A recent example was a new interactive approach to employee engagement, which was developed by the European team and then rolled out to the US, Asia, and also Japan. It is of strategic importance to us to establish a consistent and coherent communication by building employee brand engagement programs to inspire our 11,000 employees across Europe and our 320,000 employees worldwide. What we want to do is to ignite the passion for the brand internally and to strive to make all our employees active brand ambassadors. What do? We make them attend highly engaging brand training sessions. We have an internal global brand Inspiration of the Year award. And also we are using things like an app about the brand identity for smartphones and tablets. But we want to do more, and we want to be more ambitious in this global single One Hitachi approach. We are currently working with our media buying agency on developing a content-driven approach to media buying, which we hope to roll out to our colleagues in other parts of Hitachi, which are confronted with the same issue of making this social innovation message interesting and relevant. For my view, it is that those companies and brands that will be able to manage this global versus local tension in their best interest will ultimately be the most successful. 3, making social innovation relevant and explicit. So, what is it then what we do here in Europe and the UK? Central to our engagement approach is the alignment of messages, the clarity of what we say, in particular in very technical topics. Our aim is to deliver integrated brand communications to make social innovation explicit and relevant to senior business decision makers. We want to do this by achieving an optimal balance of integrated communication for each market based on specific content development and a communication strategy for each audience, whether it be customers, journalists, suppliers, partners, or politicians. But these tactics share the same approach. We want to tell interesting and relevant stories about exciting and surprising examples of social innovation. The challenge is then, and this is something I want to discuss if you're interested, is to bring these stories to life in the most appropriate and effective channels. We are currently using white papers, bespoke conferences, industry-leading events, video case studies, and of course, advertising and online and social presence. Telling stories to make our audience see and understand how we focus on realizing a sustainable society by understanding global social and environmental expectations will help us to get our messages across and to build this global brand as provider of social innovation. Our current approach to social media is focused on creating visibility. But I want to do more, and we need to do more. A genuine, open, and interactive value-adding social information flow with our stakeholders would help our business to integrate external expectations into the company's management. With the growing popularity of social media and the public's social conscience, people increasingly expect companies to address social challenges. Consumers want businesses to go beyond making profit. This new focus has been described as having the potential of contribute to a system-level change in business, and focusing on social will help companies to be successful in the future. However, business can't address society's issues on its own. A key word in this space is collaboration. My view is that the issues confronting society have become so complex and difficult, no one should be under any illusion that they can just provide the solution on their own. 4, close to our values. At Hitachi, we're all concerned with our values. It's what we are as a company and what we stand for. The founding spirit of the company is harmony, sincerity, and pioneering spirit. Harmony is about how you work together with other people, both internally and externally. Sincerity is about having a very open view and also taking courageous decisions when you have to and when you're required to. And pioneering spirit is to do with innovation and finding the solutions in the most difficult situations. Let me finish today with this general thought about reflecting our brand, our values in our advertising, branding, and communication. Over the recent years, we have learned as a company that you can only be effective in your communication if you are credible. And credibility is the cornerstone of successful communication. But to be credible, you must be authentic. And you can only be authentic if you are genuine. Genuine as individuals, genuine as persons, genuine as an investor, and genuine as a company. And this is at the heart of everything we do. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would be very much welcome to use the opportunity to really have a sort of a discussion or a debate of the few thoughts I shared with you today. Thank you. Yeah?